What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And of course, I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com if you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe with notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Baseball's coming up, and I believe in about a week or so. And we'll be doing dirties on the YouTube with MLB as well, which has really been our strongest sport anyway. NBA and MLB collectively, but the MLB as far as like actual, I guess money won. Right, it seems to be our bread and butter. So we're excited about that. Excited about how NBA season's going. Had a solid year last year, another solid year this year. So very excited about all the YouTube content that we're preparing to do this season. That being said, if you hit the like button, leave some comments, interact with me in the chat if you're watching live. What's up, Pat? Good to see you, Pat. We'll discuss some of the trades in a second. And the best thing you could do, and I know, Pat, you've been doing it, man, is share the show. The more you guys share, the more we grow, the more we're able to put back into the products, more we're able to put back into the free content. So appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys for listening. And, hit that like button. All right, so we're going to start things off. Before we even get into the slate, we're going to talk about some of these notable trades. I know Pat was asking about them. So the trade deadline is coming up. Literally have like a little over 2 hours left. I think 3 p.m. Eastern is the exact deadline. And we've had some teams make some moves. None of which with my Knicks, which I've been a little disappointed. But I'm going to try to address the ones that were this morning. And let's see. So we knew there was a couple that went down yesterday we knew about. Most notably the one at night that happened right after the games, I think, ended basically. The Pistons traded DeLon Wright for Corey Joseph and 2 first-round picks. So the Kings now have DeLon Wright. Pistons now have Corey Joseph. JaVale McGee was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. See, the Kings one's interesting. I'm not sure what they're going to do there. They went and got a backup point guard. You got De'Aaron Fox, so he could play backup point guard. DeLon Wright could play off the ball as well. Does this have something to do with Bagley's absence? Are they trying to make up for that? If that's the case, we could see DeLon Wright just fill Corey Joseph's role, and I think we would all say that's an upgrade at this point. I mean, Corey Joseph hasn't really done a whole ton in that role. Granted, DeLon Wright had a bigger role for Detroit, but he's done a little bit more, so I would imagine he slides into that. But do they give him more minutes? Do they take some back from Halliburton or Hield or Fox? JaVale McGee, probably just to give Jokic a little breather, because Hardenstein has had to play. Granted, Denver is a little bit healthier now than they have been, but I think we'll see JaVale McGee more appreciated at Denver, right? Not that the Cavs didn't appreciate him, but they're on a whole youth movement right now, which is why they didn't want to play Drummond anymore, right? Which is why they got traded Drummond, the year before. So on the flip side, Jared Allen, maybe his minutes get a little bit more secure with Hartenstein, but he might actually play him. This is one of the bigger trades, I thought. The Magic traded Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu for Wendell Carter Jr. and Otto Porter and 2 first-round picks. So the Bulls get Nikola Vucevic, which is a huge upgrade to their team. And they also get Al-Farouq Aminu, which kind of leaves a hole for the Magic, but I guess a hole that they plan on letting Otto Porter fill. See, it seems like obviously the Magic are selling, right? They traded Fournier, they traded Gordon, they traded all their best players. But they did bring in a veteran like Otto Porter that could have just been a money thing. So we'll see how they treat Porter going forward the rest of the season. I would assume, you got to play guys, right? But I would assume the Magic are just going to go into youth mode. But maybe we see him with a more sizable role. With that being said, Wendell Carter, his role just got a lot more defined, right? He's going to be asked, I would think, to do a little bit more down there. And again, Porter is set up in a situation where he could do a little bit more. So that's one of the more interesting trades, I thought. Oh, yeah, Vooch and Thad Young now as the centers over there. Fournier was traded to the Celtics. See if I can find the details on that one. Not there. Don't see the details. fully for Fournier. We'll see if we get there, but I know Fournier was traded. So again, like kind of cleaning house. Oh, did the Knicks just make a trade? All right, there was just a trade that went down. The Sixers get George Hill, Thunder get Tony Bradley, Austin Rivers, and 2 first-round picks, and the Knicks get Terrence Ferguson. That one's a weird one. We'll talk about that one in a second, though. But let's get back initially to... Yeah, so I don't have the details on the Fournier trade. All I see is that Fournier to be traded to the Celtics, so maybe it's not actually finalized yet. But Celtics picking him up. Going to create a little bit more of a crowded atmosphere there, but certainly an upgrade somewhere. Fournier's been balling this year. And again, the Magic kind of cleaned it house. Aaron Gordon was traded to the Nuggets, or to be traded to the Nuggets. Gary Harris is supposedly included in that deal as a part of that trade. So the Nuggets, I think, will get a little more crowded. Probably an impact to Michael Porter Jr., probably an impact to Paul Millsap. But an upgrade nonetheless. Aaron Gordon, a very good player. Okay, so that one was official. Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets. Magic at Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and 2 first-round picks. So this is a team that was already kind of short on wing players, and they just traded away 2 of them. Gary Harris has been hurt for the longest time, but RJ Hampton had another one and a first-round pick. Gary Clark to be traded to the Nuggets as part of the Aaron Gordon deal. Okay, so throw in Gary Clark in that mix. The Magic dealt Gary Clark, so the Nuggets pick up Gary Clark. Bielitsa was traded to the Heat. I saw that. Bielitsa for Mo Harkless and Chris Silva. That's kind of interesting. I mean, I feel like neither of these teams really had room for those players. The Kings kind of did, but they just weren't playing them, right? But Bagley's been out; they're just not playing the guy a lot, so kind of get that one. Raptors. Ooh, so the Raptors traded Norman Powell, who everybody was talking about how he's most likely going to be traded. Norman Powell for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. So the main piece of this trade, obviously, Gary Trent Jr. Surprised Portland let him go, but they are making an upgrade for now with a guy like Norman Powell, more of a veteran, more of a scorer. Last one I see here, and again, there's still a couple hours till the deadline, but it was the one I mentioned. The Sixers get George Hill, the Thunder get Tony Bradley, Austin Rivers, 2 first-round picks. The Knicks get Terrence Ferguson. So the Knicks essentially, obviously, had to have given up Austin Rivers. So a 3-team trade, Magic. And we'll have to see if there's any more that come out, because I'm sure there will be. You know what I mean? Damn. Went back in the chat. And let's see. Chalupas and Chicken, man, talk about a horrible slate last night. Bounce back season. Yeah, it was a pretty ugly one, but it was ugly across the board. The scores were a little bit lower than usual. But me and Paulie talked on the Y stream yesterday, the pre-lock show, and we said like it felt like more of a balanced slate. Like it felt like people were trying to force stars and scrubs, and I was guilty of it too. Right, Harden got ruled out, so that didn't matter. But people were trying to jam in Luka. I at the end when Giannis got ruled in, I thought there was an opportunity to get a low in Giannis, and it ended up being a real balanced slate. You know, being the way to go. Norman Powell to Portland is big. Yeah, I agree, Pat. That's a pretty big one. Portland's going for it, right? The Raptors, I don't know what happened to them. It's got terrible. It's got real bad. But definitely an upgrade. And look at the Bulls, man. Craig says the Bulls are trying to win him back as a fan. Yeah. The Bulls making a move, man. Vooch is a baller. He really is an underrated player. Whenever people ask me who I think the most underrated player is, I always say Vooch. I mean, you see in the All-Star games, he was picked towards the back, not really an emphasis. But you look at what he's done with Orlando. Now, at the end of the day is, can your team win? And that's been something that he's not been able to do. So I understand that. But still, at the end of the day, you look at his stats, and he's just a beast, man. Very tough to cover, very tough to shut down. And he's not the best defender, but certainly an upgrade at the center position defensively, just being big. Wendell Carter's just not that big. So having a guy with that kind of size, I think, is going to help at least a little, So keep an eye on that. As far as this slate, what do these trades have to do with this slate? So we know Portland made a trade, so we know that we'll start with Portland. Let me just pull up FanDuel. Here we go. So we'll start with the Portland side, and we know, where is he at? Gary Trent Jr. was just traded, right? So take him out. 24 minutes. So he's been playing. And Rodney Hood's gone too, I believe, right? So there are minutes to fill. I would imagine that Powell's going to have to go through a couple of different things before he's ready to play. So they'll be a little more shorthanded than usual. CJ McCollum played 38 minutes against Brooklyn. Didn't do a whole ton with him, I get it, but he did play big minutes. 7-2 on FanDuel. I'm sorry, on DraftKings, and 7-5 on FanDuel. Now, what we will say about this situation is Miami's not the ideal matchup, right? They play a little slower. They play some defense, blah, 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 But, and I see my boy Tenelson in there bringing it up, but I think this is good for Derrick Jones Jr. 31 minutes against Brooklyn. This is a revenge spot, too, for anyone interested in that, right? We got a revenge spot, and 4-4 on FanDuel. Let's find him here. 3-9 on DraftKings. Way too cheap. So I think we'll see him play a little bit more. And Gary Clark Jr. did take some shots. So even on that second unit, when he gets time there, he's going to have to, do some stuff, right? And again, even Rodney Hood, who we'll have to locate here. How many minutes is Hood getting? 20, 18, 22. So yeah, there's some minutes to fill. We could see Nasir Little pick up some of those minutes at the 3 or at the 4. Really, he plays more at the 4, realistically. But no Hood. Anthony Simons has been cleared to play. He could definitely pick up more minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up some of the minutes today. Little is, Tenelson asked, is Little cleared for tonight? Yes. So I guess it must have been like a false positive situation because Simons and Little and these guys are all in. They're all good to play. So definitely a situation in Portland, one of the first games going where we can look to take advantage. Maybe even Melo. Melo may have to pick up some more minutes. So we'll have to pay attention to that as it goes and see if there's any more trades made. Another one. So I know Miami also made some trades, but it didn't seem to me like the guys they traded are playing a whole ton. Mo Harkless and Chris Silva, right? Like they're not playing a lot. So I don't think there's that much of an impact there. Harkless hasn't played since the 11th of March. And I mean, Silva, I would know if Silva played. Hasn't played since the 19th. So yeah, it didn't really do a whole ton for them. I will get to the Knicks. I saw somebody mention Bullock is out. Yes, we will address that. But Philly, right? Tony Bradley was just starting at center for these guys. I mean, he just played 33 minutes against Golden State. Granted, the game, it was just set up well. So probably a boost for Dwight Howard. I would think that they move him back into the starting lineup at this point. And I would think that with Embiid being out, that's an upgrade for Howard, right? Only 14 minutes against the Nuggets. I guess it just wasn't the right matchup for him. You could see 13 boards in those 14 minutes, but played 32 against the Knicks. So I think that we'll see Dwight Howard play more. Maybe we see an opportunity for Vincent Poirier to pick up some more minutes. Maybe we see Mike Scott pick up some of those minutes. The benefit for them is the Lakers with Gasol out. Now, I don't know for sure that Gasol is out. I think he's questionable. Yeah, so we don't know. We'll have to see Gasol. He was out for conditioning. But if it's back to Harrell, they're not that big of a team. So they could maybe escape with playing some of their 4s at the 5. But definitely seems like a boost for, at the moment, for Dwight Howard. I would think. Right? Trading away Mr. Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley. That was a shocker. After Embiid's endorsement, too. Embiid gave him a big endorsement. Interesting. That he did. I think that's it for the games today. As far as the trades go. Right? Or the Kings. They traded Bjelica. Bjelica played 9 minutes on the 22nd. Did not play at all against Atlanta, probably because they were preparing for this situation. They did play Me Too 9 minutes. I thought I saw him get into the game. Because remember, we are missing Holmes still. So, I mean, Barnes is probably going to play a lot. 41 minutes against Atlanta, 41 against Cleveland. I think we see a similar situation with Barnes, with that Bjelica is not even an option at this point. I'd be surprised if he left the court. Maybe they decide to do a little something with Jabari. I'm just thinking in terms of who picks up Bjelica's minutes, because I know Bjelica's not playing a ton, but he was playing a little bit And it seems to me like they didn't play him against Atlanta, maybe because they had this in the works. Potentially. But I definitely think it's an upgrade for Jeffries. Kojo is out for the time being, right? They traded him. So do we see Halliburton play even more? 36 minutes. How many minutes did Kojo get against Atlanta? 21 minutes against Atlanta. That's a lot of minutes to pick up. It could be Kyle Guy. We saw a little bit of him at times. He could pick up Corey Joseph's role for the time being. Or they elect to just play Fox, who played 40 minutes last night. Buddy Hield, who played 38 minutes last night. And Halliburton, who played 36. So we'll have to keep an eye out to see what they do with that. Definitely makes all those guys a lot more interesting. And on a small slate, even more so. Right? In terms of injuries, the Knicks traded, first off, the Knicks did trade Austin Rivers, but let's be honest, he wasn't really playing. We got another trade coming in here? No. Okay. He wasn't playing anyway. Alfred Payton is probable. We expect him to play. Derrick Rose was out for conditioning. So he's been cleared from COVID, but he was out for conditioning. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with Derrick Rose. Now, Reggie Bullock was ruled out. And Bullock is a guy that was playing significant minutes, right? 31 minutes against Washington most recently, 47 in that overtime game against Philly, 36 against Orlando. So him being out today should have an impact. Now, we could see quickly fill that void and get a little more minutes, or we could see Alec Burks, who played 29 minutes and 30 minutes. He's been also playing big minutes. So probably a boost for Burks. How much is Burks over here on FanDuel? Burks is 6K, 5.8 on DraftKings, similar pricing. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. We'll have to see what they do. Tibbs has been a little funny with rotation, but it's got to be good for him. Could be good for Barrett, especially if Rose is in. That could jack things up for these guys a little bit. But if Rose is out again, some interesting things to consider. Noel is probable. That would have impacts on Mitch Robb, who, by the way, Mitch Robb went for 40, man. He played 17 minutes in his first game back from surgery. It was a hand surgery, I think, or broken hand, whatever. 17 minutes off the bench. Then he comes and plays 31 against Washington and balls out. Just really balls out. Went for 40 DraftKings points. So these are the situations that we are facing today. These are the players that could have decent implications, if you will. San Antonio, we just had some injury news announced. So Rudy Gay is ruled in. Oops, let me get rid of the Knicks here. You at Rudy? Rudy Gay was ruled in after missing last game, but now we've got Lonnie Walker out. Lonnie Walker, I guess he was out last time too. Shit, whatever. But that's it for the injury front. In terms of just for tournament purposes, I like the late games again. No surprise. Late games meaning Golden State, Sacramento. That's my one of my favorites, and then Philly Lakers. Right. I think that I'm worried about the Lakers hanging in there, but this is Ben Simmons is a matchup issue. They got nobody that could really guard Tobias Harris, and now we got even Dwight Howard is a possibility here. Could be the biggest man on the court for a lot of this game. The Lakers side a little bit tougher. I think Schroeder's matchup is tough, assuming Ben Simmons picks him up. I think it's an okay spot for Kyle Kuzma. My biggest concern about the game is does Philly walk away with it? The good thing is Philly's on the road all the way across the country, which gives the Lakers a little bit more of a standing shot. But Golden State Sacramento is my favorite, and the cover boy, I made Jordan Poole. And look at the minutes Jordan Poole is playing, 39 and 38 over the last two with Curry out. They're playing a Golden State team that just played Atlanta last night. I really like Jordan Poole. And I'm hoping his ownership maybe it's going to be owned. It's only a 5-game slate, but maybe it's not as high as it should be. Wishful thinking. Wiggins' price is up, but I still like Wiggins. Didn't really put it together, but look at the game before that, what he's capable of, even with poor shooting. And finally, my man Kelly Oubre woke up, man. Oubre finally woke up. Now, Oubre is pretty streaky. He's pretty streaky, so we got to keep that in mind. Was this the start of a hot streak coming for Oubre? This game, 8 for 14 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 10 boards, or was it like a fluky situation? He's been dealing with a foot injury, so keep that in mind. But yeah, Oubre's price has come up. Oubre on FanDuel is really expensive. He's like 7.2 right? But we're looking for raw points, so we don't want to throw it out. And then finally, Draymond Green, man, he's 7-7 on DraftKings. That seems like kind of rough, but on FanDuel he's only 7K, much more within reach. So that would be my favorite game at the moment, Golden State Sacramento, for game stacks, right? But again, still a couple hours left for the trade deadline. We'll have to take a wait and see approach. You know what I'm saying? See what that does. Revenge game for Howard. That is true. Revenge game for Howard. That is true. I didn't see Washington make any trades yet. I could have missed it. But I mean, I'm expecting them to. I was also expecting the Knicks to do something a little bit bigger than the trade they just did. But yeah, Poole's been balling. To Nelson, love Wiseman at 4,200. Absolutely. This is a phenomenal spot for Wiseman as well. I'm glad you mentioned him. The minutes have been up for him, and this is going to be a soft matchup for him against Rayshawn Holmes, who's also kind of undersized as a big man. So yeah, I'm with you on Wiseman. I think it's a pretty good spot for Wiseman as well. Craig says, will Draymond be motivated? I mean, if the game is competitive, I think he will be. You know, like, you still want to win games when you are playing. I think if the game starts off ugly and they're, for whatever reason, getting beat up by the Kings, I think Draymond will be one of, you know, I could see him checking out, getting himself teed up a couple times to get kicked out. But, you know, I don't know. Washington traded. Oh, yeah. Okay. You're right, Pat. I missed that one. I did see that one. Washington traded Troy Brown and Mo Wagner to the Bulls for Gafford and Hutchison. That is true. So they did pick up a center, but they're not going to have him at the moment. Great call. I mean, that's got to be good for Alex Len, right? Either Alex Len or Robin Lopez. Wagner was starting for them. Played 23 minutes in this exact spot. So I think now they're going to have to play Len a little bit more. They're going to have to play Rolo a little bit more. But Bertans is out. Oh, they don't have a choice. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, guys. Appreciate it. That was a good one. Solo and Pat bringing that one up. So we could see these other guys get some run. Bonga got 16 minutes. Definitely possible. But I think the center situation seems to be, because Mo Wagner was playing center. He's starting at the 5 for him. At times. I know he hasn't done it a whole ton. Alvin Taylor, can you see Oubre getting a triple-double tonight? Or a double-double? A double-double for sure. I can see him getting a double-double. It's a fast-paced game. Sacramento's not a great rebounding team. No real size on the court. So, yeah, I can definitely see a double-double. Triple-double from Oubre? That's, you know, that may be a stretch. Maybe it could happen, and I do plan on playing Oubre. But that could be a stretch. But, yeah, going back to Washington, I do think that I think Wagner's absence is probably a bigger boost for Len and Lopez, especially with Bertans being out. I like it. So we got some ways to go. I mean, this shit always helps me doing this shit too. Gives me a little blueprint. As always, I'll be doing the projections sometime after the show. They'll be posted on the site when they're ready. My article will come out later tonight as well. Just definitely after the trade deadline, because I want to wait until we get as many news as possible. And then, of course, go check us out at WiseTake.com. Day pass is $2.50. Hop in our pre-lock live stream. Me and Paulie going live 45 minutes prior to lock. Today, that'll be at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Take you up to lock to make sure there's no last-minute scratches, news, anything like that. You know, guys getting dizzy, etc., etc. Peachy. But go check us out. Hit the like button on your way out. Craig says triple-double with turnovers. That may be a possibility. I'm not going to rule that out. But anyway, hit the like button, share the show. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.